This video provides the guidance for viewers to easily duplicate simpler prize-winning garnishes created by culinary masters from Taiwan and the United States. The various carving methods are clearly demonstrated and explained, and with patience and practice will bring delight to those who create the garnishes as well as those who see these art forms on the dining table. Cut a cucumber in half lengthwise. It is best to use gherkin cucumbers or cucumbers wrapped in paper because the skin is smoother and the seeds are smaller. Diagonally cut and remove the stem end. Diagonally cut 2 paper-thin slices. Do not cut completely through so that the slices are still joined at the bottom. Cut the third cut to separate the sliced section from the cucumber. Bend the center slice toward the joined end. Soak in water until ready for use. To prepare a variation of this pattern, first cut out V-shaped grooves across the cucumber half on the skin side. Then follow the same procedures to cut each section containing 3 slices. Bend the center slice toward the joined end. Carrots may be used in the same way. Again, soak in water before use. You may alternate cucumber and carrot garnishes. Using half a cucumber, diagonally cut thin, even slices. The number of slices is not limited, but they must be an odd number. Bend every other slice toward the joined end of the cucumber to hold it securely in place. Continue bending in the same manner. An alternate way is to bend all slices except the first and last one. Soak in water until ready for use. The cutting technique for the next garnish is basically the same as in the previous garnish. The only difference is that after cutting all slices, turn the sliced cucumber over and remove the seeds. Place the sliced cucumber section on a flat surface, skin side down. Cut the skin away from the meat at the joined end. Carefully slice to 3/4 of the length of the cucumber. Beginners should use a small piece of cucumber to learn with. Bend slices as demonstrated in the previous garnish. You may bend every other slice or bend all slices in between the first and last. Soak in water until ready for use. The previous 3 decorative garnishes can be used alone or arranged with other garnishes. Using a cucumber which is cut in half lengthwise, Vertically cut grooves across the cucumber half on the skin side. Diagonally cut a slice and push the slice to the left. Diagonally cut another slice and push the slice to the right. Alternating left and right until cut to the end. Decide the length and width of the garnish desired for the phoenix tail, then diagonally cut a cucumber lengthwise. Turn the cucumber skin side up. Hold the sharp-pointed knife at a slant near the arrow end and carefully cut equal paper-thin slices around the cucumber. If the cucumber half is too thick, we can turn the cucumber skin side down and trim off the seeds and meat to make it thinner. Turn the cucumber skin side up again. Using the flat side of a cleaver, gently press the cucumber slices so that they will fan out. Use a slender fantail for the phoenix. Here we introduce two kinds of speared flower garnishes. Cut paper-thin slices from a small radish. Use 5 paper-thin slices for each flower. Then cut halfway through each slice from the center out. Overlap the pointed edges of the slice. Hold the ends together by piercing them with a toothpick. Follow the same procedure for the other 4 slices, but pierce with the toothpick on a bias. It is better to use toothpicks with 2 sharpened ends. After piercing all 5 slices, push them upward. Use different colored vegetables to form the flower's center. You can use this same procedure with gherkin cucumbers, carrots, or Chinese eggplant to make various colorful garnishes. Arrange them together with some green leaves, or use one flower alone as a garnish. For variation 2, create 3 slices per set. Prepare 3 or 4 sets of slices. Cut out different sizes for each set. Starting with the smallest set, overlap the pointed ends of the smallest set to form a conical shape. Hold the ends together by piercing them with a toothpick. Secure all 3 slices in place and arrange the conical shape so that the 3 pointed tips form a triangle. Gather the pointed edges of the next smaller set and overlap them to form a conical shape. Place them over the first conical shape. The second row of petals should be outside of the first row. Continue forming the rest of the circles and whole circles into conical shapes and arrange them as before. Use different colored vegetables to form the flower center. Now here are 7 tomato garnishes. Use half of a tomato. Make a diagonal cut toward the center and about 1/4 inch from the middle of the tomato half. On the other side, make another diagonal cut down toward the center of the tomato. Both cuts should meet and form a wedge. At 1/4 inch intervals, diagonally cut one side and then cut the other side in the same manner. Both cuts should also meet and form a wedge. Make sure each wedge can move after cutting. If not, cut deeper until the wedge can't be moved easily. Continue to cut several layers. Do not use too ripe a tomato so as to prevent the juice from splattering and changing shape when cutting. The final 2 cuts meet in the center of the bottom. Remove one of the bottom wedges and cut a V in the removed wedge. Starting at the pointed end, cut and separate the skin and attach meat down to 3/4 of the length of the tomato wedge. And open the leaf. Repeat this procedure with the other wedge. And then return the wedges to their original place and gently move each tomato slice out about 1/4 inch to form tiers or layers. The finished garnish may be placed at one side or both sides of the dish. Cut off a thin slice from the stem end of a tomato so that the tomato can sit flat. Make a diagonal cut down toward the center and about 1/4 inch from the middle of the tomato. On the other side, make another diagonal cut down toward the center of the tomato. Both cuts should meet and produce a wedge. You may use Italian or regular tomatoes. Follow the same cutting procedure to create 4 layers. Cut these 4 layers in half crosswise. You can also cut after taking the wedges out. Take the remaining tomato section and cut it in half at the top center. Cut the same way on the bottom side. Carefully separate the skin and the attached meat 3/4 of the distance to the end to form a petal. Do the same thing on the other 3 sides. Open and place the sliced wedges back to their original position. Gently move the slices away from the center to complete the garnish. Let a tomato sit flat. Cut a cross design which extends 3/4 of the length of the tomato. Separate the skin and the meat to about 3/4 of the length of the tomato. This will open the leaf. Repeat this procedure with the other 3 sides. Stick a decorated green onion in the tomato. This garnish is very attractive in the center of a cold dish or as a center display. Again, let a tomato sit flat, then cut it into 6 wedges. Cut a V-shaped groove on one wedge. Separate the skin from the meat by cutting at the pointed end and continue cutting to 3/4 of the length of the tomato wedge. Then open the leaf. Repeat the same process for the remaining 5 tomato wedges. Each wedge may be used alone, or arrange all 6 wedges together as a garnish. For the rose, slice a paper-thin piece of skin 5/8 inches wide at the non-stem end of the tomato. Continue removing the rest of the skin in one spiral by cutting in a circular fashion around the tomato until you have one long strip. Wind up from one end of the strip to form a flower center. You may wind with the skin side in or out according to your desire. Continue to wind the rest of the skin around itself, then shape it into a flower. Turn upside down to finish. For the sauce basket, let the tomato stand flat. Cut 1/4 inch from the center of the tomato down to the middle of the tomato. Remove and retain this portion. Repeat this step for the other side. Again, remove and retain this removed portion. Remove the seeds and meat from the handle. Then, remove the seeds and meat from the tomato center to create the basket. Use a sharp-pointed knife to cut the V-shaped grooves around the basket, or, if preferred, use a V-shaped blade carving tool to perform the initial cut around the middle of the tomato. Starting at the base of each V-groove, vertically score the skin of the tomato. Separate the skin from the tomato to form petals. Remove the meat from the skin of the two wedges taken to form the handle. Slice again if not thin enough. Using a V-shaped tool, cut V-grooves on the round side of the skin. Place the two pieces of tomato skin under the tomato garnish. Note the sauce in the basket. For the butterfly, cut a tomato in half. Then cut it into quarters. Cut in half again. Cut along the wedge from the center. Do not cut through. From the pointed end of the wedge, separate the skin and meat for 3/4 of the wedge's length. Open to form a butterfly. This simple garnish is very useful and attractive. Here are two types of rose garnishes. Cut an apple in half. Then cut it into paper-thin slices, or use a slicer to make the slices, which is simpler and easier. Soak the apple slices in salted water until they become pliable. Take one apple slice and roll it up like a jelly roll to form the center of the flower. Arrange several slices around the center petal. Then, invert the flower. Continue arranging slices around the petals. Each petal should overlap part of the previous petal. Continue arranging the slices until the size of the flower desired is reached. Turn the garnish over to its upright position, creating a beautiful rose. Again, it is necessary to cut paper-thin slices, but there is no need to soak them in salted water. Arrange several slices to form the flower's center. Continue arranging the remaining slices around the center petal. You may or may not invert the flower when arranging the slices. Either way is okay. The petals can be arranged to the size of the flower desired. For a larger rose, we can use a tomato. Slice a whole tomato. The procedures for arranging petals is the same as the previous two roses. The finished rose can be arranged with green leaves on the side of the plate as a garnish, or, for a more elegant dish, 2 or 3 flowers may be arranged on one plate as a garnish. For variation 2, we trim a carrot to a rectangular shape. Slice the carrot into 32 paper-thin pieces. Soak the slices in salted water. Take one slice and roll it up like a jelly roll to form the center of the flower. Place the remaining slices around the previously arranged petals. Fold each slice from the center edge to the corner to form an angle. The folded edge will form the top of the petal. Each petal should overlap part of the previous petal. A flower in full bloom needs 32 petals. However, the number of petals may be reduced for a flower bud. Flowers which look like a star are the most elegant. When using ham, apply the same techniques as the previous garnishes, but do not cut off the edge of the ham. This will protect the petals from dropping off. Broken ham slices should be used in the inside layers for best results. It is generally difficult for beginners to hold the flower when arranging petals. However, by inserting a toothpick through the bottom to secure the petals, the task can become much easier. Continue rolling petals. Insert a toothpick to secure the flower. Remove the toothpick when ready for use. To prepare an egg yolk flower, use the same method. First, put a mixture of 15 beaten eggs, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 1/3 tablespoon of cornstarch, and 1 2/3 tablespoon of water into a rectangular container. Be sure to line the container with wax paper before pouring the egg yolk mixture in to prevent sticking. Steam until done, then let cool. Invert the container to remove the egg yolk cake, then slice it and follow the same procedures to create the flower. The egg yolk flower is very bright and beautiful. This concludes your introduction in basic garnish cutting and slicing techniques. You should now be able to easily create many simple and delightful, eye-pleasing garnishes suitable for all festive occasions.
围圈围圈，大家的围圈，
围圈围圈，营养丰富卫生好。围圈围圈，畅销全国名闻世界。
围圈围圈，大家的围圈。